Hello, my name is Am, and thank you for joining me today on quite an exciting day. It is Shingeki Day, or at least a Shingeki recording day, and I'm about to record the first episode of the final season, part 2. So, of course, really exciting. It's one of the flagship titles on my channel. It's been a constant on my channel for years at this point, and many of you have, followed my journey. Throughout those years, right? You've joined me throughout those years, and thank you. First of all, thank you for joining me for this. Be it recently or if you've been here for years at this point. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And as many of you know, I keep it airtight, or I try my best to keep it airtight in terms of spoilers or running into spoilers. Twitter is quite effective in terms of the mute function. I've got like rows and rows of Shingeki related words muted. And I don't even allow replies to my Shingeki tweets, right? If it is a Shingeki related tweet, no replies allowed. Though apparently that's a bit of a rare thing, but of course I can only speak for myself. So yeah, I do that, and Instagram's been on private for like 2 years, and that's kind of been costing me because in the past I've collaborated with companies. HBO Canada, I did a thing for them for Game of Thrones, right? So yeah, if you're private, these people can't really see you or get in contact, right? So yeah, I've done a lot to stay spoiler free, yet I still haven't been able to stay completely spoiler free, right? It is tough, man. It's tough, and I'm taking a lot of precautions, and I'm still getting spoiled, right? So I don't know how some of the other anime onlys are managing to stay spoiler free, but I don't know, man. It seems nearly impossible to me, to be honest, even after taking all these precautions. So yes, I'm going to be transparent about the things I've run into, unfortunately. Nothing on Twitter, that's been pretty airtight. It's actually been on the Instagram side of things. Ultimately, you can't control everything, right? I have mutuals who are into Shingeki and anime, and just they're doing their own thing, as they should. They should. No one's special. That people should be super careful about the things they post unless they really want to. It's a choice thing. But yeah, I've run into a few things. Okay, so next up, I'm going to address a few things I've run into in terms of spoilers. So, anime onlys. Check out the timestamp. I'll put it on the screen. But make sure to skip this, right? Make sure to skip this. Listen, I don't know. Some people might think these aren't the biggest spoilers, but just in case, skip this if you're anime only. And of course, these things I'm going to bring up right now, I'm not gonna talk about them in my discussions. Those things are just automatically off limit now. Even if I really want to, I can't touch those because I have pre-existing knowledge of those now. So it's just that strange feeling, right? But it's annoying as well, right? Because you really want to talk about it, or you really want to go into that direction, but then once you've been spoiled about something, then it feels a bit tacky almost. Okay, so the spoilers. Now I've seen the key visual. I was calling it a poster, interchangeable, right? So, and who posted it? I believe it's Crunchyroll. I'm pretty sure it was Crunchyroll, and I don't even follow their account, on Instagram or anything. It was just, Instagram stories, and then how it randomly plays an ad, right? It was one of those, and this key visual was Eren Yeager standing opposite to who I believe to be the founder Ymir, the person they showed in the ending to season 4 part 1. And then of course in the final episode 16, I believe I got the clearest glimpse at her as Zeke is on his deathbed, right? And he gets a glimpse of her, a flash of her. So I'm pretty confident that's meant to be the founder Ymir, right? So I'm not gonna beat around the bush about that. But yeah, regardless, this key visual pretty much confirmed it anyways, right? So it was Eren Yeager standing across the founder Ymir, right? And it's in that other place, right? The other realm, the other dimension that Scout Ymir woke up in, right? So, of course, that means they're going to meet. Eren is going to go there at some point, right? And of course, ultimately, I did expect something to go down, in terms of the, memories and all that stuff they brought up in season 3, episode 21, Attack Titan, right? So it was gonna happen at some point, and this is the final season, part 2. So yeah, at some point they had to go into some of this stuff. But I didn't need to see Aaron standing in there, right? That would have been a great surprise. I didn't need to see him in there. And it's kind of crazy that that's actually an official key visual. And I'm guessing a lot of people have seen it then, right? Since it's official. I don't know. I consider that quite a spoiler, to be honest, because I rather see that myself. So yeah, those are the things I know. It's clear that, of course, there's going to be a portion of this season that is going to explore those ideas, and of course, I'm incredibly excited about that. And in the next part of this, intro, a really long one, I am going to go into a preview of sorts, something. Expectations and some predictions, perhaps things I hope to see, things I need to see, type thing, right? So yeah, I was going to bring that up. Of course, that's one of the most anticipated parts. That's one of the most intriguing parts left in this story still. That needs to be explored further. So yeah, at least I know it'll be going into that. Now I hope it's sooner rather than later, so I can start talking about these things. But of course, that doesn't mean I know everything about that. I don't know how Aaron's going to go there, right? Yes, he's got the founding Titan, but again, at least that's going to be a nice little surprise or big moment. Seeing Aaron reach that dimension, right? Go in there and face the founder Ymir. It looked like a standoff to me. Like key visual, I saw a split second of it, but it didn't look like a a nice moment, to be honest. So yeah, that's the major spoiler I was speaking of. But again, it's the official key visuals, so like I guess a lot of people have seen it. Most people have probably seen it, so I don't know. But yeah, there it is. Putting that out there. So let's just run down the list of things I do expect at some point. The Titans, Zeke's Titans, Zeke's spinal fluid. Now, first of all, before any of that goes down, and I'm pretty confident it is going to go down, right? Especially given the setup and the prominent characters that have ingested it. Nile, Pixis, Falco. Before any of that can happen, Zeke has to recover from his, situation, essentially on his deathbed. But again, I do expect him to get out of that situation, and that's going to go into one of the other points I'm going to make about his situation and that flash of the founder Ymir. But yeah, at some point I do expect him to recover. Of course, Zeke's not going to die. There's still a lot of story left to be told, and Aaron and Zeke have to come in contact. So yeah, I do expect him to recover somehow. That's the exciting bit, though, right? How exactly he is going to recover. But yeah, I do expect them to turn into mindless Titans or abnormals, given that they are Zeke's Titans. And that is going to be some moment. That's going to be some moment. Sad moment, really. Especially, longtime characters such as Nile and Pixis. Yeah, that's going to be incredibly sad, actually. And then, of course, Falco. But in Falco's case, again, another thing I expect is that he is going to turn into a Titan shifter. I'm not going to go into all the reasoning because, I spoke of all of that in part 1, season 4, part 1. I remember in episode 1 of that series, I mentioned that this kid is destined to become a Titan shifter based on, the imagery and some of the stuff they've set up and the references, the foreshadowing, and, him having visions. And the ending, of course, focuses on Falco as well. So yeah, I do expect him to turn into a Titan shifter. Now, of course, the real question becomes, who is he going to eat to become a Titan shifter, and how is that situation going to play out, right? I don't think it's going to be, Zeke or Aaron, because there's a full-on story that needs to be told there, that needs to happen, Zeke and Aaron, right? So I don't think it's going to be any of them, but it could be one of the other warriors, right? Reiner I mentioned Reiner in my discussion for part 1, that maybe Reiner could give himself up to save Falco. Could be Peak, could be Galliard perhaps. Let's see. It all depends on how the story plays out from this point on. Last I saw, they showed up, right? They showed up, and Peak and Gabby are already there on the rooftop. So yeah, I expect that to happen. As I just mentioned, Zeke and Aaron, the big betrayal moment is going to happen at some point, right? Aaron is going to betray Zeke, but he cannot do that until they come into contact, right? That's the key here. He has to make contact first, because no chance in hell he's down for Zeke's plan. I mean, that I don't know how anyone could be expecting Aaron to be down, for that plan. No chance, no chance in hell. But Zeke bought it, or at least he made it look like he bought it, right? Who knows? Zeke, maybe he didn't completely buy it, right? Remains to be seen. But from the things I've seen, it looked like he bought it, right? He got quite emotional about this. So yeah, let's see how that plays out. But that being said, I mentioned Aaron has to make contact before anything like that can happen, before he can, really tell Zeke about his feelings or anything. Like I mentioned, I'm excited for Zeke as well, because Zeke is a Titan holder, a Titan shifter of royal blood, right? But he doesn't hold the founding Titan, so that's a really unique scenario, right? So I've been saying this in my discussions for the last part. I'm quite excited to see how things play out for Zeke once Aaron and Zeke make contact, right? Again, given his royal blood. And Zeke genuinely cares for Aaron, right? He feels a responsibility towards his younger brother, right? Even if it is a half brother, still, he felt a responsibility towards him. You go all the way back to season 3, part 2, right? He told him, "I'll come back for you. I'll come rescue you," right? He meant it, right? He meant it. So yeah, it is going to be a bit of a sad moment. After all this time, he felt that he finally has some family, right? That understands him, right? That he can connect with. But yeah, that family member, his half brother, he's got other ideas. And then there's a few characters that I'm going to focus on that I would love to see their stories play out and progression in their stories. Characters such as Annie. Of course, I think everyone's expecting her to come out of that shell at some point in these 12 episodes, right? Especially given the fact that the Jaw Titan is here as well, right? Then there's Historia. I spoke of Historia and, her potentially being sidelined and being used as a plot device. I hope that's not the case, but, in the time off, I've been, thinking of angles, and I've been thinking of how Historia could be brought back into the mainline story. I don't know, I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing any angles. Then, of course, there's the founder, Ymir. I mentioned her earlier, but yeah, of course, I need the backstory. I need to just learn more about her, right? And I expect that to happen in this, over the span of these 12 episodes at some point. And then, of course, I need to learn so much more about this path dimension, right? That again, that's one of the most intriguing remaining storylines still left to be explored in this storyline, and it is nearing its conclusion. So yeah, it might end up playing a really major part, because it still really is quite a mystery, right? So yeah, let's see how that plays out. On my rewatch, I was looking for some out of place things, right? Again, I didn't get to watch the entire series again, but I watched a good chunk of season 1. There are some things that are a bit off, or some odd things, odd framing going on, random people in frames and stuff. Then, of course, I saw the flash of the founder Ymir, and again, one of the talking points I brought up was that she didn't quite, she didn't seem like royalty. She had like a bucket as well, in that flash Zeke had of her on his deathbed. So there's a lot of unknowns about the founder Ymir. So again, one of my most anticipated moments for this final phase is going to be her backstory. And again, the exciting part is also how they go into that backstory, right? So again, another thing I'm looking forward to. And then you have Gabby, who's in the middle of a fantastic character arc. I'm looking forward to the conclusion of that character arc. I'm pretty sure it is going to end up being a positive change arc. There's a lot of good signs there. And then, of course, Reiner, one of my favorites of the entire series. I'm hoping that he gets, peace. I'm hoping he gets some peace. I'm hoping he lives on, right? I really do hope he lives on. Though, again, it is the final season, right? It's the final phase. I expect a lot of death. I expect a lot of the main characters to die. Such is, the universe of this story. And I've theorized that maybe it is going to be Reiner who ends up saving Falco at some point, give up his life to have Falco turn into a Titan Shifter. That's a possibility. But yeah, my hope is that they deal with the 13-year curse, right? The curse of Ymir. I guess that starts going into endgame theories and predictions. I personally believe that yes, it is by the end of this story, by the end of this final season, or going into the film as well. I think the curse of Ymir is going to be lifted, right? Though I'm not saying it's going to be this happy ending or anything. I think I've thought about this a lot, and I can't see this having a really happy ending. I think a bittersweet ending in the middle somewhere sounds about right for this series, for this story, and the things they've established over the years, right? Just can't see a happy ending, a completely happy ending. It's just not possible, especially because there probably is going to be a lot of death, right? Main characters all of us love. So yeah, I do expect the Curse of Ymir to end by the end of this story. And hopefully some of these Titan Shifters are still left standing by that time, so they can go on and continue their lives, maybe. And in terms of a big endgame prediction, I do think that by the end of the series, the world might become a safe place for Eldians, right? After it's all done and dusted. Again, for time, nothing is guaranteed in the long run, but I mentioned the 13-year curse hopefully being lifted, or ceasing to exist. That would mean that the founding Titan, or the coordinate, needs to go, or needs to cease to exist, right? And that's Eren Yeager, right? So in that sense, I think the least shocking death I can really see happening here is Eren, right? The Shingeki no Kyojin, always seeking freedom, right? So if Titans and the 13-year curse is to be lifted and just gone from this world, I think it would most likely mean that Eren, the founding Titan holder and the coordinate, all of that, he's probably going to have to die at some point. And given the trajectory of, or given his trajectory in the last part of season 4, there you could see angles, where it could end up going in that direction, right? I'll get into Eren in a bit. I mentioned that it might become a safe place for Eldians for a time, and I say that because, this is grounded in reality. The world's not just going to be a happy place forever after, right? Even if they do find some safety out there and a place out there, Eldians, that is. It reminds me of that conversation Pixis and Commander Smith had back in season 3, part 1. Commander Smith told Pixis that humans are going to be fighting each other till there's only one left, right? So there's always going to be conflicts and power struggles and atrocities, right? So the ending of Shingeki is not going to bring about world peace, right? There's a concept of creative limitation, right? A story taking place in a knowable, limited world. No matter how, grand and fictional it might seem, you have to pick. You have to pick and choose, right? And this story is not going to be about world peace or anything. So, it's not like all their struggles are just going to be solved. But I do think maybe the Titan problem might be taken care of. So, they have a chance out there. But again, it's such a... Eldians have such a reputation now. That's why I keep saying, I can't see a really happy ending in this. Bittersweet is the likeliest. But yeah, you know, for Titans to end, right, to not exist anymore, a lot of substantial things probably need to happen. So let's see how these episodes play out, right? If it is to get to that point that, you know, by the end of this, the Titans are going to, you know, cease to exist, right? Let's see. Again, I think it's all tied to Eren Yeager, the holder of the founding Titan, the coordinate, right? So that's why I said, you know, I could see that being a likely death by the end of the series. And of course, you know, I mentioned Ymir's origin. That is also the origin of the Titans, right? It goes hand in hand. And if you go back to Eren Kruger and Grisha, you know, Eren Kruger told him, you know, some say she touched the source of all living matter. So there's a few hints in there, right? And I've discussed this before, theorized about this before, but yeah, you know, Ymir's origin story, her background, her backstory also kind of goes hand in hand, right? With the Titans, right? She is the founding Titan, or she was, right? The founder Ymir. So yeah, that's another thing I'm expecting here. The origin of the Titans at some point. Oh, and of course, Heicho, right? Now, again, you know, he's a major character. So I like I said in episode 16, I don't think he died, but he's got to be in really rough shape. He's got to be in really rough shape. So let's see how that plays out. Until I see how it plays out for Heicho, and I can't really theorize much about his, you know, end game or his trajectory for the rest of the story. I need to see him, you know. So yeah, let's put a pin in that. Let's see how it plays out. Let's see if they get into that in this episode or the next episode. It's got to be soon, right? It's got to be really soon, surely, because he's also going to be on his deathbed, most likely. So I think that's about it for this preview section. If I forgot something, I'll probably bring it up in the post-episode discussion, or maybe, you know, in another episode. But yeah, for now, I think that's good enough to give some of my thoughts on, you know, potential endgame, potential endings to a character arc, and expectations and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think that's about it for this. So before I get into the episode, just want to quickly mention Patreon and social media. If you're into that, check out my Twitter account. The link's in the description. You know, you can support the channel just by following the Twitter account, right? You can support the channel just by dropping a like or dropping a comment. But if you're interested in content beyond the scheduled content, check out the Patreon page. That's going to have full length and full opacity for Shingeki. There's no early access. It's going straight to YouTube. That was really long. But yeah, you know, I wanted to get some of these thoughts out there before I get into the episode. Right then, let's get into the episode itself. I hope you enjoy. Oh. Oh. I don't think he's dead, but that version of Heicho is gone. Yeah, you need to back the fuck up. She doesn't want them seeing. Fuck. He's too smart for that. And the clouds parted. Whoa. New music. Holy shit. Heicho. The rebirth of Zeke. His eyes almost kind of look like the... Oh, okay, he's... Okay. Oh.
ただそれを見ていた。何年もそうしていたような気もするし、一瞬だったような気もする。あれは
Goosebumps.
そうか。あれが道なのか。行こ
rebuilt out of clay.
たちはただ進むだけだよな
Whoa.
エレン
Oh, shit. All right, so I'm going to take the headphones off, but I'm going to keep it a bit close to my ear so I can kind of hear it, so I know once it ends. Wow, I have so much to talk about right now. It finally happened. It finally happened. So the founder, it looks like the founder did control that Titan and put him in, and then he traveled to that dimension, to the other place, and he was rebuilt from clay, right? I mean, essentially, I mean, it wasn't literally clay. Who knows, right? Because it's like this other dimension. I mean, it's a desert, but wow. But the fact that he said it felt like an eternity, or it felt like a long time, but also a split second, something along those lines. Whoa, that's a game changer. That presents so many openings now. It was like set up right up front too. But Heicho, man. I didn't expect him to die, but he's never going to be the same again. It's kind of like season 2. He's going to be out of commission, isn't he? Just like he came in for Falco and Gabby. God damn, the music. Whoa. Oh. Galliard keeps coming, man. He keeps coming. You have to give him that, even if you don't like him. I don't think he's gonna do that. The attack titan doesn't retreat. Aaron doesn't retreat. Whoa, look at this. In the streets of Shiganshina, Aaron Yeager. Oh, Reiner, my dude. You give him a fight. You give him a fight, Reiner. This is like a direct continuation of episode 16. Even the opening was the exact same type of opening, right? Zeke on his deathbed. But this time, the rebirth of Zeke Yeager. Magath. The Card Titan's design is just so strange, man. Oh, look at that. Now he can openly show concern. Ah, Colt. Was that 3D or 2D? The movement looked a little bit... taking time bomb, man. Oh yeah, she was there for that. Oh, they're going through the whole list of fantastic music, huh? Ah, that's... General. The world. Look at this. Reiner, get ready, man. He's gonna counter punch you at some point. Oh. Yeah, that was coming. That was coming, man. Ah. Get Reiner. Let's go. I mean, I'd rather they not fight, but they're just destined to fight each other. Eternal rivals. Reiner, my guy, he is. Yeah, Zeke's eyes look like that. He looked like a changed man, like that he had an eye-opening experience. Mind-opening experience. Oh, look at that. Oh, the detail. Great shot. See, this time they came ready. They picked themselves up. They came ready. Caught them by surprise. It's this guy. General. Oh, how about that? The best gunner is the general now. Oh, they're getting picked apart, man. They are not ready for this. They are not equipped for this. They're decades behind Marleyan. Yeah, they're not prepared for this. They're getting outclassed. Oh, what a shot. Look at this, the bloodbath. Yeah, they're so far ahead of them. Is Reiner that hero Magath is speaking of? Reiner doesn't want any of that, man. He's here for just one thing. Oh. How about that? Yeah, Reiner's got quite the perspective, right? For both sides, essentially, so he knows. Oh, man. Wow, phenomenal voice acting there, man. It's so jarring to see Connie like this, but he's at his limit at this point. Yeah, I was gonna say I believe him. Like, he has no reason to. Like Historia's kid. I believe him. They'll believe him. Oh, man. No, Mikasa. No. Now and forever. Now and forever. Remember, Mikasa. Shouldn't laugh. He just used that. He's shocked at the notion of that even. It is! Sean, it is outrageous. Come on. But they've also established that he's not gonna sacrifice Historia and her children. Oh. Those 4 frames just now. Look at this. Carnage. It's a war zone, man. And they're getting... Oh. Yeah. They can't match Marleyan in this kind of warfare. There's like no music right now. As the late great Hannes said, Aaron doesn't give up.
Okay, episode 1. Okay, man, that ending is just phenomenal, isn't it? I was still, constantly thinking about that opening, but then they dropped this ending on me. Unfortunately, it didn't have the lyrics, right? So I think I'm gonna hold off till episode 2 to really get into the ending. But like I said, there you can read quite a bit even without the lyrics, right? There's already there's foreshadowing there. There's symbolism there that Aaron is probably going to pass on by the end of this series, right? You see that final shot. That's what I'm getting out of it, But in the process, he is going to give Eldians a chance, give his loved ones a chance. That's the feeling I was getting here. In this quest for freedom. Aaron. Again, I have a section for that. I'm thinking of right now. Armin and Aaron, and his trajectory from the last part of this season, or sorry, from the last season, season 4, part 1. But yeah, some of the imagery in there is quite it's quite sad. Some of it's quite beautiful, bittersweet. I mentioned bittersweet in the intro or in the preview section for this before the episode. It's a really bittersweet ending, that one. It's stunning, absolutely stunning, no doubt about it. The song is just beautiful, right? Really helped me kind of get that connection again, right? Not to be honest, I've always gravitated towards some of the supporting cast, especially since season 2. I've liked Aaron, but I can't, I've never been able to say Aaron's my favorite character of Shingeki, and he's still not. I'm not saying he is, but that ending, I think it did something quite crucial for me. Beautiful imagery, there's that one shot, Aaron being stuck in that big bird cage, right? Just that alone had me like gasping. And then the next, the transition of the bird cage disappearing and him being free, being out there, right? Experiencing, and you see the smile on young Aaron's face as he sees freedom, right? So yeah, the feeling I was getting, the little story that was being told there is that, he's going to fight till the end for the freedom, for Eldians, for the people he loves. And I'm guessing he's, and I mentioned this, I feel like Eren Yeager death is likely by the end of this series. And I think this ending kind of reiterated that, solidified that for me even more. Not that I'm saying it's spoiling anything, but, you can read it. Some of the imagery is quite unmissable there, especially that final shot, But, before he passes on, I think it is trying to tell us that he is going to achieve that freedom, or, a semblance of it for his loved ones, or, the Eldians. So yeah, it was a sad, ending to the ending. But yeah, I'm gonna go into a bit more detail once I see the lyrics, because I don't see the point of doing it twice. It's better to just have the lyrics. I'll have that for episode 2, and then I'll kind of go into it. And of course, he's got the red scarf on, and it's this beautiful transition of the scarf turning into a bird, right? Freedom, signifying freedom. And again, Mikasa, right? The red scarf, Mikasa's red scarf, because Eren gave it to her, right? All that time ago, now and forever, right? I said that during the reaction. He tells her that in the season 2 finale, right? She's thanking him for everything he's done for her, right? Because she thinks they're about to die. But Eren realized no, no, Mikasa is not going to die here. And he tells her, I'm going to wrap that scarf around you now and forever, as many times as you want, right? So yeah, I think once I get lyrics, there might be something quite interesting in there, in that ending there. Again, it was really similar to the season 1 ending. And the thing is, I only recently saw the season 1 ending. In my initial reaction series on YouTube, I never actually saw the ending. I recently saw it a few months ago though. So that's kind of insane, isn't it? That I never saw the ending. And again, it also kind of reminded me of the Historia ending from season 3, part 1. And I really like that ending. I really do. But yeah, again, I'll touch up on the ending in the next episode once I see the lyrics as well. Do a full section for that. The episode as a whole, like I mentioned, perfect continuation point, right? From the last episode. Essentially, it just felt like one big episode split into episode 16 and 17. So yeah, in that sense, it was kind of like right back in there. I really like the ending of that episode. No music, just carnage, an absolute war zone. Because the war machine that is Marley, right? Even in their depleted state, they are a war machine in comparison to Paradis, or right now I guess it's the Jaegerists, right? But yeah, they got decimated, right? Outclassed, decimated. This is not their forte, right? Marley, on the other hand, they have decades of experience, right? So far ahead of some of these scouts, the Jaeger scouts or the Paradis scouts. They shot them out of the sky or out of, from the rooftops like flies. They are not equipped for this. They cannot go toe to toe with Marley in this type of warfare. They just can't. And of course, there's also the fact that Marley picked themselves up, right? They regrouped. They came as soon as they could, right? And on this side in Paradis, there's fragments. They're not one force at the moment. There's all kinds of different groups, splinter groups going on here. So that played into Marley's hand as well, right? One united force against a bunch of different fragmented groups in Paradis. Now imagine if the world force that Tiber was trying to assemble, right, to champion, if they actually showed up, right? Paradis would have been decimated. Now, of course, they are going to fight back, and Marley is going to have to go up against it. And of course, Aaron's out there taking on Galliard and Reiner, and of course, Reiner and Aaron intertwined. Their lives are intertwined forever, rivals forever. This is actually kind of iconic, isn't it? Reiner and the Armin Titan, and Aaron and the Attack Titan. It is. I think it's probably one of the more iconic, pairs. And you see that Reiner understands. He understands. Begins by him saying, everyone suffered so much. You've suffered so much. I thought that was, wow, what a moment. And he understands. Reiner's been on both sides. He's got this really unique perspective. But you can tell he just wants it all to end. He wants this conflict to just end. And speaking of Marley, how about Commander or General Magath, right? Continues to be such a fascinating character. He legitimately cares for these children, right? Yes, they are child soldiers, and he's kind of their commander. But it's clear that he cares for them. You see that he hugs Gabby, right? He's happy to see that she's safe, and even she's a bit, surprised by this. And then, of course, he's got this look on his face, the look a parent might have, right? Or the look of a parent once he finds out that Falco has ingested Zeke's spinal fluid. His face was quite the story, wasn't it? So, I think it's clear to see that this man, Magath, General Magath, he understands that this is such an unfortunate situation, right? A regrettable situation that these children have been put in these situations, right? And it continues to be such a great character introduction so late in the game, right? And there's a great parallel here to season 4, episode 1, and then this episode, season 4, episode 17, or the first episode of part 2 of the final season. The really nice thing here is that he can now openly, right, as a general, he doesn't have to be bullish about it. He hugged her, right? He hugged Gabby. He can openly show his concern for these children, right? That are his responsibility essentially. Before there were signs that he cares for their safety, but he had to be bullish about it. You go back to season 4, episode 1. Gabby brought up the idea, and she does end up going through with that idea. But you saw that he was a bit hesitant, right? He didn't think it was quite safe, but he did have to be a bit bullish back then. But now he's the head honcho, right? Now he doesn't care. Now he's more than open to show his concern for these children. But yeah, unfortunately, now it's kind of like a race against time. They have their task. They cannot let Aaron and Zeke get in contact, and of course Zeke is just. I'll get into that. I'm going to do a whole separate segment for that. But Zeke is certainly back in the game, and seems to be a bit of a changed man. Right, there's some strange things going on there. Right. I don't know if Zeke's being completely honest or open about his experiences, right? Not with the likes of Flock, at least, right? Maybe if him and Aaron get a chance, he might open up a bit more about his experience in the path dimension, right? Wow. As you saw, I was just, oh my goodness, that was incredibly exciting to finally get that. And I think even that, the amount I got there is quite substantial. And I'll get into it. There's a lot of exciting stuff that comes out of that, possibilities and potential theories to take or connections to make. I'll get into that. But yeah, and then of course there's a ticking time bomb, spinal fluid. Now they know, and Colt knows. So let's see how that plays out. It's all happening really quick though. Zeke is going to show up there. I'm assuming most likely next episode or certainly by the beginning of episode 3, he is going to show up. He's gotten used to the Warhammer Titan's abilities in a short span of time, right? Again, it is Eren Yeager, the holder of the Founding Titan and the Attack Titan. So yeah, he was out there. But of course, Marley also had their chance, right? Shot him up. Magath himself shot him up, right? So by the end of the episode, you see that he's certainly roaring back into the fight, and I expect him to lay it down in the next episode, no doubt. But yeah, you don't want to see anyone get hurt.
Now, I'll come back to some of these other things. I certainly want to touch up on the scouts, right? And Anya Capone. Wow. Speak of a fantastic performance, right? The voice acting for Connie. I think Connie's reaction there is completely justified, given the things he's experienced recently. The amount of betrayal, once he starts listing, you just really think, you feel so bad, right? The loss, I said it's so jarring to see Connie like this. He recently lost his other half, and you see now that this is not quite the same Connie, right? That goofy Connie isn't around at the moment, at least. He's had his fill of it, right? He's fed up, and he lashes out, and I think it is justified, right? And of course, if everyone has the exact same reactions, you don't have much of a cast design, do you, right? If everyone's just going to be calm about it, yes, Armin and Mikasa kind of hang back, even Jean kind of hangs back. But yeah, you in a solid cast design, you want to see different reactions, right? Just so much loss and betrayal for him. There's only so much you can take sometimes, right? You reach your limit, and he did, right? He reached that limit, the boiling point. And of course, he calmed down after, Armin kind of stepped in and, helped him realize, okay, you're maybe lashing out on the wrong person here. But yeah, Connie, I love Connie. Jean and Connie, I just hope they get I don't know, man. Let's not get into endgame theories for them, but I adore them. Well, yeah, Sasha, Jean, and Connie. Unfortunately, Sasha's long gone now, but yeah, I hope for good things by the end of the series for Jean and Connie. And let's go to the top of the episode. Talk about setting the tone, man. Starts off showing us this beautiful frame, and then it pans to a shot of Heicho's severed fingers. Took me a split second to realize that, yeah, these are Heicho's fingers, not Zeke's, because his ODM gear, and that hits you like a truck, man. It's like a gut punch, because this is not a Titan shifter, right? His life has changed forever. He is never going to be that Heicho ever again. In fact, he's probably out of commission for the rest of the series, maybe, right? I don't know, man. It all depends. He, as expected, he was on his deathbed. He, you could see the light barely just there, right? It was fading from his eyes, essentially. And of course, Hanji-san got him out of there. Quick thinking as they were distracted, seeing a reborn naked Zeke, right? As the clouds parted. And again, I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, Heicho, yeah, I feel like it's also a strategic. Okay, maybe I'm not gonna call it that, but you could tell that much like season 2 had Heicho on the sidelines because of his I think fractured foot, right? this feels like one of those situations. They've taken, or Isayama-san has decided to take Heicho out of the picture, right? Because of course, if he's out there in the field, it's a completely different story, right? If he's running out there, if he's out doing his thing, so he's been removed from the situation. But as one Ackerman gets sidelined, enter Mikasa Ackerman, who is an elite scout at this point in time. This is not the same Mikasa from the Forest of the Giant Trees, right? This is an elite scout. All of them are elite scouts, right? So it's so, I feel proud, right? Because, I've seen their journey, right? From the 104th, the iconic 104th, to now them being in the position of, the elite scouts, kind of like how Levi Squad was back in season 1. They're the elite scouts for Paradis, right? So they've grown up in front of our eyes. I love that in storytelling, following the journey, right? And seeing a character develop into, a new impressive version of themselves, right? Reach new heights, right? So love that progression, man. But yeah, Heicho might be sidelined. One Ackerman is out of the picture for the time being. His fingers are gone, man. And there's actually a bit of dark comedy in this episode as well. Galliard chops off Peak's hand. It's been so common. Regeneration has been used so often that it kind of became like just this thing, right? But then once it happens to someone who's not a time shifter, then it really hits you hard, man. On one end, Heicho's life has changed forever. He might not be able to even help them out physically anymore, at least. And then on the other hand, you have a bit of dark comedy, hands getting chopped off because they're just going to regenerate, right? Titan shifters. So it really hits you. It hit me, man. It hit me. You guys know I love Heicho. He's one of my favorites. So yeah, that was tough. The pan shot of his face, the projectiles, lodged into his face. Man. Again, I expected him to be in really rough condition, but, thinking about it is one thing, but then seeing it, animated and, thinking about how things play out from this point on, it's a different thing, right? Quite a sad moment. Now let's, shift over to perhaps the most jaw-dropping moment of the episode. I was constantly thinking about this, throughout the episode. Like I said, everything else kind of felt like a bonus after that. But yeah, holy shit. It turns out, indeed, it was the founder Ymir who was controlling that Titan in the end of episode 16, right? And she was able to transfer Zeke into the Path realm, right? The Path dimension, right? Now, I believe this is probably because of the royal blood connection, right? Because, in the past there has been Titan shifters, or there have been Titan shifters who've been in pretty bad shape. You don't see the founder Ymir coming to their rescue, right? Though, of course, Zeke was on his deathbed, but I do believe it's because of the lineage. So I finally get to see a character actually end up in that Path dimension, right? And experience it. And it's quite the experience, as Zeke remembers, or barely remembers, right? Again, time is totally different there, right? Essentially, it's all happening at once. It transcends space and time, essentially. So he said it felt like years, but also an instant, right? And she rebuilt him, right? She rebuilt his body. And, I mentioned clay because I felt like there is a bit of symbolism there, man being built out of clay or rebuilt out of clay. But, this certainly felt like a resurrection. Zeke, the second coming of Zeke, Jaeger. And, I kept mentioning his eyes. He really felt like a changed man, or, he's had a life-altering experience that he still really hasn't shared yet. I feel like he might be holding something back. But yeah, how fascinating, right? Now, like I mentioned, she's rebuilding his body, right? So there's the founder Ymir. She's quite capable. And that opens up to other really exciting possibilities as well, right? Is she able to bring any subject to Ymir in there if she chooses, right? Again, I feel like this was a special occasion, or really a rare occurrence. Zeke being of royal blood, or maybe Ymir, the founder Ymir. Again, I don't know much about her yet. In fact, they don't even show her eyes. But maybe she felt that, Zeke Yeager needs to live on, right? That she needs to come to his rescue. Maybe he still has something important that needs to be done. Let's see. But again, I maintain that it probably is because of the lineage, right? The royal blood. She came to his rescue. And again, like I mentioned in episode 16, it felt like safekeeping, right? Now, in the Path Realm, she's using like the soil, the sand, to rebuild his body. But it appears that essentially that is the Titan's blood and bones, essentially, that were used up to recreate Zeke's body in the normal timeline, or in the normal, space-time, essentially, their reality outside of the Path Realm. And, the whole concept of that realm, the Path Realm, transcending space and time, it opens up, a potential for down the line, right? They're establishing this in the first episode of the new season, right? Part 2. So there's got to be a reason for this, right? They're establishing some of the rules, some of the possibilities that, you can end up in there, but, out here it feels like an instant, but there it feels like years and years, but also it feels like an instant to you, right? So yeah, that's something to look out for or put a pin in, because going into that Path Realm, or being able to go into that Path Realm, again, it remains to be seen if Zeke is going to go back in there at some point, or if he's needed back in there at some point. But yeah, the fact that you can spend years and years in there and nothing happens on the outside, it's an instant on the outside, as he explained, it's a bit of a game changer. Now let's focus on Ymir, the founder Ymir, and this place itself. Why does it exist, right? How did she gain access to it? How come she's there, right? Does she want to be there, right? Is she forced to be there? Is she cursed to be there, right? Is it by choice? Is this her kind of spending the rest of her life in this higher existence, right? In this dimension, the Path dimension. I don't know, man. It didn't seem like... it really looked like it's just her out there, and it's this desert that kind of stretches for eternity, essentially. So I don't know, man. There's so many what ifs here, right? If she wants to get out of there, if she can get out of there, how does she get out of there, right? What needs to happen for her to free herself from there if she is cursed to spend eternity in there, right? I don't know, man. There's so many questions. Now, a theory I think I can apply to this, this comes about after seeing her rebuild Zeke's body, right? And clearly there it felt like it took years and years. And of course, rebuilding something like that probably would take years and years, right? So, here's the theory of the day. Zeke and her probably have this royal blood connection, right? Not probably, they do, right? The founder Ymir is royal blood, right? But, the other Titan shifters are part of her soul, right? The 9, right? That were split up from her soul. Do I finally have an explanation for the sudden thunder that appears after a Titan shifter initiates the transformation, right? Just out of thin air, right? Is that her actually making that happen, out there, it appears to happen in an instant, but in there, it's years and years, right? So that's my thought process here, that she might be the one who makes this happen. And again, another reason I'm linking her to Titan Shifter transformation is because, again, they have given us a lot of substantial information before. It's just kind of up to us to apply it, right? If you go back to season 3, episode 21, right? Attack Titan, Aaron is explaining some of the rules, right? Flesh and bones can be sent through there, and sometimes even memories and thoughts. But I do think there might be something there, her and the Titan shifters, and that the transformation that happens out of thin air, the surge of electricity. Again, since they are part of her soul and they got, separated, So there is that connection as well. So yeah, that's my thought process on that. Maybe she is responsible for making that happen. But also, you have to look at it from how it serves the story from this point on. Again, it's still a bit of a mystery, even though they showed me a glimpse of it here, and you can actually infer quite a bit from it. But it still remains to be seen how it services the story down the line. And like I said, I do feel like it's going to be explored much more in this, final phase of it. It's possible that, she gained access to this dimension after she made contact with this source of all living matter that Aaron Kruger mentioned. But again, that's not confirmed or anything, right? That's, again, it's just like not a rumor, but it's just one of the things people believe. And how about the incredible music in that scene? Oh my goodness, I need that ASAP. Especially, once it transfers or it's showing us Zeke's time there. Oh my God, it goes into that almost retro, like an old sci-fi score almost. I thought it was fantastic, right? I'm not sure if that's Yamamoto. I think it probably is Yamamoto, right? Sawano's been a bit more hands-off, right? Unless it is Sawano. I don't know. You guys tell me. But yeah, that was brilliant. And of course, not just there, rest of the episode had brilliant music as well. There's some rearrangements or remixes of fantastic tracks from part 1 of season 4. I was jamming out, man. If you know my content, I love a good score. And, I've been quite lucky that everything I check out on the channel has phenomenal music, just fantastic music. Vinland Saga, Death Note, Fullmetal Alchemist, Doctor Who, for those who know. And I'm missing something. Dark. But before I move on from, the Path Realm and the founder Ymir, she had like a childlike appearance, didn't she? Unless she just kind of looked like that, or, maybe I'm mixing up a bit of an anime thing here, but to me, it kind of seemed like a child almost. Again, they didn't show her eyes. But then on the flip side, you see Zeke's eyes are quite noticeable once he's resurrected, essentially. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see if he experienced something else that he hasn't, shared just yet. I think there's a good chance of that. Because he said, it felt like it was years there. So who knows, right? Let's see. Though it did look like he was just frozen. Imagine just being frozen. How mind-numbing that would be. Like, just, oh, man. And, before I move on from that, opening segment of the episode, you see that, of course, Zeke is saved by this almost godlike figure, right? A deity. And then on the flip side, you have Levi, who's saved by a friend, right? I thought that was quite interesting. And, thinking back to Scout Ymir, after her rebirth, essentially, maybe that might have been just kind of like a chance thing, maybe, right? Because they never explained the reason she woke up there, right? Again, it's one of the standout moments of the series for me. It's one of my favorite moments of this story, of this anime, right? Again, one of my favorite episodes of the anime, season 2, episode 10. But yeah, I think that's enough on the Path Realm for now. But my big theory from this is that she wasn't just there, for Zeke to show up, just this one time. I think she's building things there, right? She's building things, and finally that thing Aaron mentioned in season 3, episode 21 about flesh and bones being sent through these connections, right? These paths. This might be the case. She might be doing this, right? At least for the Titan shifters, since they are part of her soul, right? Separated into 9. But going back to Armin's judgment was spot on, right? His judgment about Aaron was spot on. And, Armin defending Aaron or coming to Aaron's side has happened before. It's a bit of a reoccurring thing. But, he only has it right up until a point. Yes, he's right about Aaron. There's no chance Aaron could be for this plan that Zeke and Yelena came up with, right? That's not Aaron. That's not the Aaron they know, right? He thought it was outrageous. He was bewildered. He was shocked that any of his, friends or his fellow scout members actually thought that, Aaron could do something like this. Make it so Eldians can never have kids again. To Armin, it's so crystal clear that is so far from Aaron's mentality, right? and of course, Armin's like a brother, right? They've known each other for their entire lives. He knows Aaron, right? Though not completely. At this moment in time, he might think, he is right about one aspect of it. Yeah, Aaron is not going with this euthanization plan. But, again, there is another angle, the rumbling angle, the Stampede of the Titans, at this point in time, maybe no one's able to think that Aaron could, potentially go that route, right? Again, going back to the whole ending of season 3, right? The final episode of season 3 at the beach. If I destroy our enemies on that side, are we going to be free? Are we finally going to be free? So, essentially Armin isn't even entertaining the thought of him potentially triggering the Stampede of the Titans, right? That has been, mentioned a few times throughout the series now, or, has been foreshadowed a few times. You go back to the season 2 end credits, right? I love those end credits. There's still actually stuff in there that hasn't been actually shown in the series just yet, right? So let's see. And of course, recently in part 1 of this, season 4, the play, Tiber's play, I think that was, I think that's about it. I think that was a decent, opening stanza of this final part of the season. Again, it remains to be seen if it is going to be a film at the end of this. But yeah, it's a good comeback episode, right? Okay, that's it for this one. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.